like I said, anytime that you meet somebody like this in business, and there's not many of them, but anytime that you do meet somebody like that, you want to find a way to provide as much value to them as possible. And subsequently, he wants to provide as much value to us as possible too. So he graciously offered his time to come in here, give a little bit of feedback, and kind of tell us about what he's seeing through the market, or in the market today, through the eyes of somebody that's buying houses, selling houses on a weekly basis from wholesalers and selling them on the MLS. And obviously has a different perspective on the market than we do as wholesalers, because he's the one that's actually taking these properties down, putting work into them, and then getting direct buyer feedback on the MLS. And also, Johnny, by the way, Paul, he was the one that brought, do you remember the address? You bought this from us, Johnny. Do you remember what deal it was?
It was 50, I almost want to say 55th Street.
56 Way.
56. Hey, that's
84,
right.
51, 56 Way.
There you go. Yep. Yeah, Johnny's a beast, man. If anybody don't know Johnny, Johnny's a great guy. He walked through, said, I'll take it, walked out.
Yep.
He knows what he's doing.
And he's somebody that sometimes you have buyers that, especially newer ones, like I said, that a lot of them will try to take advantage of wholesalers, right? They think that we're low on the totem pole. I've had other buyers before that, like, they'll act like everything's all good on closing day, and then like halfway through closing day, they'll say something came up and they need like a $10,000 discount after they see the HUD and they see that we're making a $30,000, $40,000 fee. We've had other buyers in the past that, for example, I remember having one deal where there was this big oak tree in the middle of, I don't know if it's an oak tree, I don't know anything about trees, but it was this big ass tree right in the middle of one of our properties that we were wholesaling. And we were under contract with this buyer for like 2 or 3 weeks. And then on the day of closing, he brings up saying that his contractor said that it was going to cost like $12,000 to remove the tree, so he needed us to pay for that or he wasn't going to close. And this is, of course, conveniently an hour after he saw that we were making a $30,000 fee, right? So he tries to get us to pay for that, thinking that we're going to be scrambling to, oh my God, please, like, fine, whatever, we'll give you the discount, we just need to close this deal, right? We ended up not, and he funded and signed the docs at 4:59 p.m. right before the end of the day. So, but my point is, you have buyers that try to pull BS like that. So when you find somebody that, I mean, Johnny is somebody that when we sell him a deal, I'd never have to worry about it. I don't got to follow up and ask if the funds are going to be at title on time, if he's going to be able to sign on time, none of that. We're usually tracking down lenders, making sure that they're actually communicating with title and getting the docs to them and all that sort of stuff. With Johnny, it's funds are there, morning of closing, docs are signed, good to go. And that's really important, especially when we're dealing with distressed sellers that need, they need certainty, they need convenience, they need not last minute BS that comes up. And that's why they work with us rather than selling to, putting the house on the market with an agent. So, well, before I go to the next one, we already got a couple of questions. So Nate, what's up?
So I guess kind of the same thing, but reverse. When you're putting deals on market, like trying to like figure out where your pricing goes. For wholesalers sending you deals, like what do you like to see? Do you want to like look at it and be like, oh goodness, that's a deal? Or do you like to see something that's like, okay, well, on the reverse side, if it's at 300, maybe I put in an offer at like 275. Can you kind of walk us through what you mentally think about when you get sent deals and what you look at and what you don't look at?
If it's in Pinellas County, I immediately want to know if it's in a flood zone. I don't want to have to look it up. Time is money, man. Like, I think we're going to get into part of your question here soon anyways, but we'll tackle it now. Yeah, I want to know if it's in a flood zone. That's huge for me right now. I'm not buying no flood zone houses. I just did make 40 grand on one actually. So, but it's not a low lying area. It didn't flood. I'm not buying any flooded houses. Yeah. I'll still look at flood zone, but if it flooded, I'm completely out. Not really. I mean, you mean like how you lay a deal out for a buyer like myself? Is that what you're asking? Like how you lay it out, or?
Yeah. So like what I've kind of been told is some buyers, and obviously, you're not like every other buyer, but you might get, I don't know, 10 deals a day or 15 deals a day from wholesalers. And, some of them are trash, some of them aren't trash. So like what your process is for sifting through them. Do you sift through everything that's not in a flood zone in Pinellas and make an offer on that, or what?
Honestly, I look at a house, I look at an address. I was born and raised in this area, and that's why I'm doing such a tight-knit area, because I know the market. Like, I can look at the house in about 15, 20 seconds, know if that makes sense to me. And if it rings a bell, again, I am not your traditional thinker buyer at all. Literally, if it rings a bell, I look at it real quick. If it makes sense, I'll let you know where I'm at, like those things. But I want to make sure I answer it right.
Kind of your sifting process, or if it's, I mean, it sounds
like what your sniff test is. Like, how do you determine, this is what I'm just going to file away versus like, I'm going to look into this a little bit closer.
So area with me, I'm in South Pinellas. So I tend to like Pinellas Park, Largo, St. Pete. I do a little bit of Clearwater, Seminole. And then, so that's right away. So if I see a Newport Richey deal, I'm probably just not even looking at it. Even it could be a deal.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's me setting up systems for myself. I might be able to hire a VA one day and say, hey, here's the parameters, yada, yada, yada. But so that's my first thing is the area, and then address and price. So I can, again, look at an address and be like, oh, they want, you know, you have one over here on 79th Ave in Pinellas Park and they want $350,000. They're out of their tree unless it's 2,500 square foot, you know.
What Johnny is getting at, and it's not as uncommon as you would think either, because a lot of the better buyers, they do have specific areas that they stick to, right? Like most of our buyers in Pasco, they only buy properties in Pasco. Johnny only buys properties in Pinellas. We have buyers that only buy like in Seminole Heights, South Seminole Heights area, right? So a lot of your best buyers are going to specialize. They're going to have a specific neighborhood that they look at, and he can just sift through his inbox and see, okay, this one's on 59th Street and they want 350. I know the ARV's 400. I'm just making shit up.
That's what I mean. Yeah, for sure.
He can go through his email box and just be like, no, that's too high for that neighborhood. I know that street. That's way too high. Oh, this one looks good. I'm going to look into that one, right? And there's a lot of buyers that your better buyers will operate like that. A lot of the buyers that say, I'll buy anything that's a deal, they're either a wholesaler or they're an inexperienced buyer, right? So a lot of, like I said, a lot of your buyers that are going to be your legitimate, I'm good to close when title's clear, just let me know type buyers, they're going to be specific. So that's why I always say you want to price properties to where you're going to catch the eye of people like Johnny, where he's sifting through and he's going through his emails, filtering through all the BS deals that he gets. You want him to see that and be like, oh, okay, that street, that's a good price. I'm gonna check that one out, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That answers it. And I like kind of tying into that. I guess every buyer is a little bit different too. Like I bet some people that buy across all the counties are like, yeah, if it fits the X profit margin for whatever, like we'll make an offer on it.
And those buyers are going to take longer. They're not going to be the Johnny. They're not going to be the buyer like Johnny that's like, yeah, let me see it, walks it. Okay, I'm good to go. They're going to be somebody that they schedule a time to go walk it, and then they take a day to run their numbers and get you an offer, right? Which sometimes there's a place for those kind of buyers, but a lot of the time, especially when we're dealing with distressed homeowners, you want somebody that's certain, like Johnny, that can. Like I know John, I could assign Johnny a deal and not take an earnest money deposit from him because I know that if he says he's going to close it, he will, right? Those buyers that they put an offer in, but they have to go through this long process and stuff. I'm trying to collect $5,000 or $10,000 from them because I don't know if they're going to actually be as committed to this deal as I am. And I've got a seller on my end that they're looking at me. They don't know who I'm dealing with on the back end. All they care about is what did I tell them is going to happen versus what actually happens.
Yeah.
So you want to look at buyers more than just offers, but like partners on the deal because they are your partner on that deal.
100%. I don't even walk most of my properties, to be honest. I'll put EMD in before we sign an assignment on certain. I'm like, yo, send me in wiring instructions. It's there in 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, because he knows 100%. So yeah, so as a wholesaler, you want to make sure that your buyers, they associate your name with an opportunity, not with BS. That's one reason why we have. First of all, we don't ever daisy chain anything that we send out. Before we weren't even doing JV deals. I wouldn't even work other people's deals. Now we do work other people's deals, but we have to have a contract. I have to have control of that deal and I have to know that you're working it because I know that my buyers associate 27 properties with, they have control of the deal. This is the person that I need to talk to if I want this deal, right? Because there's a lot of buyers that they'll reach out to somebody thinking that they have control of the deal. And then they realize that they don't have control of the deal. And the person that they're talking to doesn't have control of the deal. And they have to go 2-3 people up the line to actually talk to anybody that can make decisions, right? And buyers hate that. And if that happens, if they start associating you with that, they're going to just not pay attention to you altogether. And like Johnny said, he might not pay attention to a deal that you send that's actually a good deal because he associates your name with not deals.
100%. All the time. I am subscribed to so many emails. Normally, if I get like, if I don't, I'm to that point to where I'm like, if all they send me is BS, I'm normally unsubscribing because my email's